A child went to the hospital and that child never came back. And I think that single fact alone should stop every conversation in this country. A 21-month-old boy, Nkanu Nnamdi Adichie, died during what was meant to be a routine diagnostic procedure at a private hospital in Lagos, Ureka Care Hospital to be precise. Now his mother is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, one of Africa's most respected writers and global voices. This time around, it is not a celebrity story, it's a story about a system. Because when a child dies in a hospital, the question is never what just happened that day. The real question is, what kind of healthcare system allowed this to happen? Now, before we go in deeper, let's take a look at these short clips that explains the context of this incident.
Of Chimamanda Adichie and Dr. Ivare Sege's 21-month-old son. The Nigerian writer has spoken publicly for the first time about the death of her young son, describing it as a series of medical failures at a private hospital in Lagos State. In a detailed account released recently, Ms. Adichie said her son, Nkanu, would still be alive but for an incident that occurred at Eurocare Hospital on the 6th of January. According to her statement, the family had traveled to Lagos for Christmas when the child developed what initially appeared to be a mild illness, but later worsened. He was admitted to Atlantis Hospital, where doctors planned his transfer to the United States for specialist care the following day. Ms. Adichie said a medical team at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore was expecting her son and had requested diagnostic tests, including an MRI scan and a lumbar puncture. But the Atlantis Hospital referred the family to Eurocare Hospital to carry out their procedures, as well as the insertion of a central line ahead of the planned flight. In her account, the writer alleged that her son...
Now, Mrs. Chimamanda Adichie released an official statement after this incident. But one sentence from Mrs. Adichie that has shaken the country is this. As you can see on your screen, she said, "We have now had about 2 previous cases of this same anesthesiologist overdosing children. Why did Eureka Care allow him to keep working? This must not happen to another child." Now, if this claim is true, then this is no longer about one tragic day. It has become a question of oversight, a question of regulation and responsibility. Who was monitoring, who was supervising, and who was supposed to stop this before another child was harmed? This is the part that hurts the most. Now, the public may have moved on. Social media may have found a new topic to talk on, but the family will live with this loss forever. And this is where Nigeria must be honest with itself. There are too many stories of medical negligence in this country. There are too many preventable deaths, too many families who never get answers. Yes, there are medical errors that are happening everywhere in the world, but in Nigeria, what makes it different is that there is no accountability afterwards. There is no transparency and there is no justice. Now, this case is being discussed nationwide, largely because the family is well known. But if it was Mr. Samuel from Shomolu, would this case be treated the way it is? If it was someone else without this attention or someone else that is not this high profiled, will this case receive global attention? Do you know how many Nigerians that have been buried quietly, without a voice, without lawyers and without media attention? As expected, the hospital has denied wrongdoings and they've said that the matter is under investigation. But this time, the family has gone to court. The 2.9 billion naira in question is a lawsuit that Chimamanda Adichie filed in damages. And suddenly, the question is now much bigger, and the conversation has grown even bigger. So we must ask, is this justice? Is this vengeance? Is this accountability? Or is this a warning shot to an already fragile system? For the next few minutes, we are not here to argue emotionally, but we are here to examine Nigeria's private healthcare system carefully and honestly. See this as a trial for the healthcare system in Nigeria. Now, what exactly is this lawsuit alleging? The lawsuit accuses the hospital of gross medical negligence, failure to properly monitor vital signs, poor emergency preparedness, delayed response to medical crises, violation of standard anesthesia protocols, and then these are not just emotional claims. These are professional and medical allegations. And if proven, they point to a systemic failure and not just individual error. And then because this is a global case that has received so many attentions, public reaction was very, very swift and loud. Within days, the Lagos government stepped in, the anesthesiologist involved was suspended, and then a formal investigation into the hospital was launched. But then this raises very uncomfortable questions. Why does regulation only work after public outrage? How many similar cases never get this attention, and would this response exist if the parent was not globally known? Now, before lawsuits, before debates, a child went to a hospital and did not return. Why did Chimamanda Adichie request for 2.9 billion naira, and why is the industry shaken? So in a widely shared video, physician and health advocate Dr. Richard Okoye explained the lawsuit amount. Let's take a look at this video in which he did that.
Naira for negligence. Okay? 100 million naira for trauma the hospital must have caused them. 200 million naira for loss of enjoyment and amenities of life. Okay? 10 million naira to be paid by the hospital every month as part of his NET 2042, which what the person ought to be earning till the next 17 years, 2042. That implies that's what the person is worth and should continue to worth, maybe through miracle alerts. Interesting. And also the 4.4 million naira they paid for the surgery should be refunded. And also 20 million naira should be the legal fee to be paid. Altogether, 2.9 billion naira that the hospital will pay. Friend, listen to me. I told one of the fellow outside, charging that they must put an example to bring down the hospital. And I asked him, my friend, majority of the people you see in most of the hospitals today in Nigeria turn down offers in America and Europe to come down here in Nigeria. Out of patriotism, they came and invested here. But look at it. Is it criminal for someone out of patriotism to say, let me build a hospital instead of my people dying?
So according to Mr. Richard Okoye, the claims include general damages, emotional trauma compensation, loss of future life opportunities, refund of medical expenses, and legal costs. Now globally, this is not unusual in malpractice cases, but then in Nigeria, 2.9 billion naira is very enormous. It is enough to build a small hospital, it is enough to train dozens of doctors, enough to shut down many private facilities. And this is why the healthcare industry is very uneasy. Nigeria's healthcare system is already stretched very thin. We have overworked medical professionals, we have weak emergency systems, we have poor monitoring equipment, and then we have very low insurance coverage. Many Nigerians turn to private hospitals because public hospitals are now very overcrowded. They're frequently on strike, they're poorly equipped, and they're slow in emergencies. But then this doesn't mean that private hospitals are always better regulated. Nigeria's private healthcare sector has expanded faster than its oversight, and that is the danger of it all. Let's look at the state of Nigeria's healthcare facilities across the country.
When women come at night to give birth and there's no light in the hospital, how do you take their deliveries?
Well, you're just using our phone, torchlight.
You're using the torchlight of your phone
Yes.
to take the delivery.
Yeah, exactly.
What if there's bleeding? How do you know where it's bleeding? Have you seen the problem that we're facing in this country?
That is the electricity that's powering this entire hospital. This is actually purchased by the clinic itself. Yes, by the clinic itself, without any support from outsiders.
This is the labor room. This is where women give birth. I'm sure you can use your eyes and see. We're human beings, not animals. This is not where human beings should give birth. People in power can do better. They can do better than this. Let's focus our attention back to the primary healthcare center. Because the villages that are around this primary healthcare center, they all come here to give birth. You don't have to be in a city. That's the toilet. This is where people give birth. First of all, the place stank. How many deliveries do people have in a day?
In a day?
In a month?
In a month, 80.
60, 50, 80 at times.
And sadly, this is the reality that many Nigerians face. Now, public anger has led to calls for hospital shutdowns, doctor blacklisting, criminal prosecutions. But medical experts warn against decisions that are driven only by emotions. And this is because fewer hospitals mean less access. Reduced access increases cost. And what does this mean for everyday Nigerians? Higher cost begins to push people to unsafe alternatives. But because we want justice, it doesn't mean that justice should collapse the system. Now, doctors are asking very difficult questions. Will one mistake end my career? Will one tragedy bankrupt my hospital? Should I avoid high-risk procedure entirely? And this leads to defensive medicine, where fear begins to replace judgment. And when fear controls healthcare, the patient will suffer. Now, Nigeria has medical councils, Nigeria has laws, and Nigeria has protocols. But our enforcement is very, very weak. Not just in the healthcare system, Nigeria at large is suffering from strong enforcement. How often are private hospitals audited? Who supervises anesthesiologists? And how many facilities are equipped for pediatric emergencies? Now, because Chimamanda Adichie is a global figure, the world is watching. This case affects Nigeria's healthcare reputation. It affects medical tourism confidence. It affects foreign healthcare investments. And in a case like this, silence is not an option. This moment should not be wasted. Rather, it should be a moment for reform in the healthcare system. And what does real reform mean? It means mandatory patient monitoring equipment. It means clear sedation rules for children. It means regular emergency response training. It means strong malpractice insurance, transparent reporting of medical errors. Now, in a case like this, two truths can exist at the same time. We have a grieving family that deserves justice, but then at the same time, we have a fragile healthcare system that needs to survive. A fragile healthcare system that must survive. This shouldn't be a case between parents and doctors. Rather, it should be negligence versus responsibility and silence versus accountability. Now, a child died, and the mother is mourning. The family is mourning. The nation is debating, and the system is trembling. Whether this 2.9 billion naira lawsuit becomes a turning point or just another forgotten headline, it depends on what Nigeria does next. It depends on the next step the government and the healthcare system is willing to take. Because real verdicts will not only come from the courtroom, the real verdicts will come from reform. Now, our deepest condolences goes to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and the family on the tragic loss of their son. We mourn with them and we extend our heartfelt sympathies during this painful time. May they find comfort in this challenging time. And from hospital wards to the streets of Kaduna, Nigerians are asking one very important question. Where is the protection? A place of worship became a place of fear. Men, women, children, Nigerians who went to church to pray were abducted in Kaduna State. Now, some reports say over 160 worshippers were taken. Others say the number may be even higher than that. But what is clear is that this is a mass kidnap that has occurred. And for hours, even days, authorities said it did not. On Sunday morning, armed men reportedly stormed churches in Kominwali, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Witnesses say the attack arrived during church service, fired shots, and forced worshippers into nearby bushes. Now, entire families were taken. Church leaders say the victims include women, elderly people, young adults, and children. For communities affected, this was not just an attack. It was a shock to their sense of safety. Let's take a quick look at this video for context of this issue.
Last Sunday, we were in the church around 9 o'clock. Fulani people come around the church. After around the church, they enter the church. They ask us to lie down. They scatter the church, collect our handset, collect our money. After that, they send out from the church. Already they send out, go towards that church. Before you go there, they have removed the people of the other church. They are lying down. As we reach there, they ask us to lie down with those people. After lying down, they search everything. They collect our phones and everything. After everything, they say we should stand up. After standing up, they say they carry us bush. They carry us bush. We are on the bush. They reach one place. They say we should stop, and at that place they beat us to the last extent, like animals. After there, they carry us inside bush. So we reach a certain village. Nobody in the village. They have sent them away. From that village, some of us escaped. But to me, I didn't get that chance until we passed that village. We was crossing a small river, and from there, they were crossed because many people are too much. We were pushing one another. So, being me as an old man, I'm over almost 60 years now. I don't have power to push and climb that hill with the people. So I just stand nearby, inside water. So all the people cross and leave me. I saw they didn't care about me, so I followed that water up. As I followed that water up, I get a space, and from that space, I escaped. I and my family, they carry us, we were 6. So as I escaped, my 5 children are there with them, inside bush. And I don't know what situation.
And soon after reports surfaced, Kaduna state authorities and the police initially denied that any kidnap had taken place. They asked for verifications, they asked for names, they questioned the reports, but community leaders insisted that the incident was real. Families produced names, churches confirmed missing members, civil society groups raised alarms. Eventually, authorities acknowledged that an abduction had taken place, and this back and forth created confusion, it created fear and anger. Let's take a look at this short clip that seems as though the Nigerian police force were confused.
Thank you very much. I would point out once again that there was no inconsistency from the statement coming from the police. The commissioner of police said, we received the information, and immediately we mobilized there, and we are yet to get any evidence. I'm quoting him now, we are yet to get any evidence that this happened. And the moment we got evidence, we also came out to say we have got evidence. So there is no inconsistency.
Now, when lives are at risk, clarity matters, not confusion and not uncertainty. Former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi reacted publicly, asking a question many Nigerians are asking. Is this how we will continue? Can we keep waking up to news of mass abductions, disputed figures, and official denials while citizens live in fear? Now, his words reflect a growing frustration across the country, not just about insecurity, but about how insecurity is communicated and is handled. For families in Kajuru, this is not politics, it is personal. Now, parents are waiting for their children, spouses are waiting for their loved ones, church members are praying and are hoping, and many say they feel abandoned. Some claim that they heard nothing for authorities for days, while rumors spread faster than official updates. Now, fear grows when information is unclear. And this incident is not isolated. Nigeria has faced mass kidnappings, school abductions, attacks on village, and highway kidnappings. Places that is once considered safe, places like your home, school, and now churches, are increasingly vulnerable. Security analysts say that this points to deeper problems like weak intelligence gatherings, slow response times, poor coordination, eroding trust between citizens and authorities. Now, when criminals operate without fears, the community will suffer. For many Nigerians, places of worship are meant to be sanctuaries. And when churches are attacked, the fear goes beyond one community. It raises difficult questions. Are worship centers still safe? Can citizens still gather peacefully without fear? What protection exists for vulnerable communities? And religious leaders have called for calm, unity, and urgent actions that are stressing insecurity. Insecurity affects everyone, regardless of faith. And authorities have said ongoing investigations are happening at the moment, and security forces are working to rescue victims. But critics are arguing that any denial delayed response and conflicting statements weaken public trust. Now, silence has allowed fear to spread. And in situations like this, experts say transparency will save life. So whether the number is 160 or more, one abducted life is already too many. And what happened in Kaduna is not just a local tragedy, it is a national warning. A warning that insecurity is no longer distant, a warning that denial deepens fear, a warning that silence costs life. Now, Nigeria must confront this crisis honestly, not with disputed figures, not with delayed confirmations, but with urgency, with transparency, and with action. Because no Nigerian should be afraid to pray. And as insecurity is worsening from Kaduna to other parts of the country, it begins to breed fear. And what does fear cause? Fear causes misinformation. And one of that is a post that is circulating widely, claiming that the US Congress plans to propose breaking up Nigeria to President Donald Trump. It claims that northern Nigeria is on the high alert, and it claims that Christians will never be safe in Nigeria. It claims that the United States is preparing safe zones by splitting the country. Now, is this true, or is Nigeria being frightened by misinformation? Mind you, this is not about propaganda, it is not about religion, it is not about politics, it is about facts, and facts that we need to get straight. So let's slow down and look carefully at what this viral message is saying. Now, this message claims that a US congressman said Nigeria should be broken up, and that this proposal is prepared for President Donald Trump, that half Muslims and half Christians has never worked, that Islam in Nigeria will never accept equality, and that Christians will continue to be subjugated. Now, these are very strong words and very dangerous words. Words that are capable of igniting ethnic and religious conflict, but here is the rules of responsible citizenship. Strong claims require strong evidence. So let's investigate, because this is what we do as journalists. Now, the US congressman in question is Representative Riley Moore. Now, who is Representative Riley Moore? He is a Republican, a US House representative that is vocal about global Christian persecution, particularly outspoken about Nigeria's insecurity. Now, it is important to note that he did not introduce a bill to break up Nigeria. He does not have the power to withdraw Nigeria's border, neither does he speak for the entire US government. Now, what he did was to introduce the House resolution condemning violence against Christians in Nigeria. And what this resolution is a statement of concern and not a law. Now, many are worried that the US Congress will break Nigeria or force it to split. And let's even pause and ask, is this even legally possible? What does international law actually say about that? Can Congress unilaterally redesign African borders, or could it create Christian or Muslim states inside Nigeria? And that is something for us to think deep about. So what can Congress actually do, since it can't withdraw maps? It can issue condemnations against abuses or governance problems. It can impose sanctions that are targeting specific individuals or industries. It can apply diplomatic pressures through hearings, letters, or resolutions. And it can influence US foreign policy debates, which can ripple globally. Now, why are Nigerians believing this information that is flying widely? It is because Nigeria is hurting, and insecurity is real. Killings are real, banditry is real, terrorism is real, and the government trust is very low. So when a country feels very unsafe, fear spreads faster than facts, and fear is often weaponized. And this is where things get very, very dangerous. Yes, Christians have been attacked, Muslims has also been attacked, communities have been wiped out. But Nigeria's insecurity is not a simple religious war. It involves terrorist groups, criminal bandits, land disputes, ethnic tensions, governance failures, poverty, and arms proliferations. And reducing it to Muslims versus Christians is false and explosive. I want us to talk honestly. This kind of misinformation can incite violence. It can deepen religious hatred. It can invite foreign manipulations. It can undermine Nigeria's sovereignty. It can create panic where none is needed. Now, countries don't collapse only because of external pressure. They collapse when citizens turn against one another. So I want us to get our facts correctly. There is no US bill to break up Nigeria at the moment. There is no official US plan to partition Nigeria, and there is no proposal before President Trump to split Nigeria. But there is international concern about insecurity. There is US criticism of Nigeria's handling of violence. There are political actors using emotional language. Now, Nigerian problems are serious, but panic alone will not fix them. The solution lies in better governance, accountability, security reforms, justice for victims, national unity grounded in truth. Nigeria does not need fear. Nigeria needs clarity. Nigeria needs citizens who question viral claims before sharing them. And this is your reminder that not everything that trends is true. Not every foreign statement is a threat. And Nigeria's future must be decided by Nigerians and not viral posts. Now, whether or not the US Congress is planning to split Nigeria, Nigeria is facing bigger problem internally. There have been claims that ASWIPE is planning attacks on Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. Now, the big question is, should we panic, or is this just another viral rumor? And if it is true, what does it actually mean for ordinary Nigerians like us? So let's start very simple. We all know the name ISWAP. But do we really understand who they are and what they do? Some questions we need to think about are: what are they really active on? Where are they really active? Are they only in the northeast, or could they strike anywhere? What kind of targets do they usually go after? Rural towns, small villages, or big cities? Could social media warnings about Lagos, Abuja, or Port Harcourt be exaggerating things? Now, you've probably seen WhatsApp forwards or tweets that says ISWAP attacks imminent in Lagos. But where did that even come from? Are these alerts coming from official sources, or are they just spreading rumors, and are they spreading really fast? How do Nigerian security agencies usually communicate warnings to Nigerians? And could the lack of specific information in some alerts make them sound scarier than they really are? So let's put things into context and talk. Looking at the last 10 years of ISWAP activity, what do we see? Have they ever struck Abuja? Have they ever struck Lagos or Port Harcourt directly? If not, why? Is it strategy? Is it geography? Or is it security presence? Could historical incidents like the Kuje prison attack influence how people think about risks today? So let's ask the tough questions. What will make a city like Lagos a target for ISWAP? And how strong is security in these places really? Could the rumors be exaggerating isolated threats? I know we all want to keep safe, but how do you know if a warning is real? Can you trace a message back to an official source? The truth is that currently there is no confirmed evidence that ISWAP is planning coordinated attacks on Abuja, Lagos, or Port Harcourt. But staying informed and asking questions and checking sources is always very smart. And we talk about sources, we talk about very, very authentic sources that are very accurate. Sources like Waywayves, because this is what we do at Waywayves. We bring you authentic news, we bring you accurate news, which is why you need to stay on this page for things like this. And we have come to the end of today's broadcast. I want you to like this video. I want you to share. I want you to drop a comment. Share this video with your loved ones, because there's something very, very important every Nigerian needs to hear from this video. I am your host, Chinyere, and this is what we do as Waywayves. We bring news to you and we analyze them. Until next time.